Alright. I hope my bed's not in the frame as much as this one is. Seriously, it's just my phone on my bed. Like, what do you expect from me? I literally can't even afford the little bit of editing I was due before now, so whatever. Alright, so here I wanted to talk about, so just so I have something to remind myself about, perks. I would tell you Butcher's Bounty, Through Hiker, Pharma, I guess that's why I never paid attention to what it was, and Traveling Pharmacy. Those ones you'll be able to get early and get them early in the game. Why? Because they are really good for keeping making sure that your dude in the early game is just always stocked with infinite healing when you need it. Now pharma I'm getting rid of for sure later on. I'm not going to need it later on, but it's very good in the beginning. You see I got good with salt there. I just can't justify sticking it on yet, but I will soon, so my food will also last finally. But yeah, Through Hiker, Traveling Pharmacy, dude. Strength and carry weight reduction stuff is the most important thing in the early game. Now it's the most important thing for my build, my end-game build, but people have different preferences. But I'm telling you again, no matter what your build is going to be, invest in that early on. A lot of the end-game perks that you want for your build, you won't even be able to get them until you get to the high levels. The game is literally going to force you to choose perks that you might think, I don't know about this, because you're thinking of some other build that's not going to have that perk. But I'm telling you, they're very good if you know what you're doing in the early game. It's about creating a build to get through the game, to then get you to your build. The good thing is also, now you couldn't do this as much when I first started this game, your special points were locked. You couldn't swap them out. Enemies did not drop ammo for you constantly. You had to rely on melee almost the entire time in the beginning of the game. Ammo was actually scarce. I hate to say it, but it actually felt like a survival game compared to what it is now. Now, it was not at all. Like, Ark Survival, those kind of true survival games. Oh no, Fallout 76, even in the beginning was not nearly as difficult. But it had a point. Also, you die if you didn't keep up with your food and water, which you don't now. Now, I still think it's good to keep up with your food and water because you just, especially if you get if you can justify putting Rejuvenated, another one you should get early on too. Because it just gives you a huge buff, keeping both of them up constantly for both health, AP regen, and special. So I mean, it's honestly worth it. I always stick it around my build now, especially because I also try to be a semi-tank that never dies on top of being good at everything, so that's why I do that. But yeah, those perks are definitely essentials, I think. Where are you? There you go. Ah, oh, so close. Can't you die in one? I wish you guys would die in one swing with it. This gun I have, Railway Gun, you get it at level well, I mean, you can use one at level 30. And there's certain plans you want to get. Let me give you some other recommendations. So, one thing I want to talk about now is I'm using Power Armor more frequently now. I wasn't before. How am I doing that? I want to tell you, you want to focus in the main quest in the game. As tempting as I know it is, you get a lot more. Again, if you're trying to solo run this game, and it's your first time playing, then I definitely recommend you stick with the main quest. Specifically the non-NPC quest. It's the actual quest that the game had at the beginning. Back before NPCs even existed. So believe me, it's a boring, stupid quest. Don't get me wrong, I hate the quest, but you get a ton. They'll give you like plans for water purifiers. You'll get all the workbench plans early on. But most importantly, you get rewarded 2 full sets of power armor sticking with it. If you stick with it, you'll get to the, you'll probably, that's what happened with me, with my case. I mostly stuck to that, and by level 20, I got my full set of level 15 Raider power armor, which is honestly strong. I mean, I'm still using one piece on this dude. It's strong enough, honestly, to probably even get you all the way to level 50, but you're gonna find stuff before then anyway. But then if you're just paying attention, look around power armor stations, stuff like that. Usually there's a good chance sometimes there'll be a power armor frame with not a full set, but a few pieces of some other power armor on it. Just grab it and stash it and use it for later is what I would tell you. That's how I don't have a full T51 actually, but that's mostly done. I just need a helmet, and I got a few other pieces in my stash to use. Let's see, is this railway? The one thing I hate about the railway gun, yeah, it breaks really fast. But what was I saying? So you can get the automatic piston receiver for the railway gun, the plan for it. At the top of the world vendors, they sell it. So that's just a tip for you if you want to use this gun. I'm just using it right now again, I like to use a variety in the early game because I'm trying to save loot. I'm trying to save resources. Like, even for a melee, I have a super sledge, but honestly, the fire axes I get are still almost as strong as the super sledge. And if you're killing Scorched a lot, you loot fire axes all the time off them. So I will even not repair, like, my fire axe. I'll just wait till I get another one to use it. So I told you in the first video, I'm only now getting to the point where I actually repair some stuff, mainly stuff I just really need to use. Also because certain guns now are just not strong enough because the enemies are just too tanky now. So, like for instance, the hunting rifles, unless you actually invest in them. At this point in the game, hunting rifles, they're not cutting it anymore, even though you get tons of them. So I don't use those anymore. Like the pump-action shotgun and the double-barrel shotgun I don't use. The combat shotgun I do still use. It's still getting to the point where it's not doing much either, but it does enough, though, and you just get rewarded. You get rewarded so much shotgun ammunition and so many shotguns in this game that, again, shotguns honestly stink in the end game, but early on they're definitely worth using. That's not the gun I meant to bring out. And I'll use it all the same. I didn't want to waste all my ammo for my 50 cal yet. And that's the level up, so you know what, I'll do that now just to see what we got. Alright, first off, what did my... I know on this dude I want to have max strength, mostly max luck, and mostly max intelligence later on. Oh, by the way, just to tell you, I'm not even using my legendary perks. If I wanted to, I could use all 6 of my legendary perks right now. But again, I'm trying to have that true noob experience. Now, once I hit level 50, all bets are off at this point, because I feel like the true end game is level 100, because that's when the enemies stop leveling finally, and that's when you should have most of your perks for your build by level 100. But level 50 is when the gear stops leveling, and when honestly most of the enemies you fight are kind of at their next level of strength that's not going to be going up too much. They'll keep leveling to 100, sure, but they're basically like, in respect to your guns and stuff, they're basically at a mostly maximum point, I think. But level 50 is kind of like the soft end game. That's why I don't care, and I just don't want to wait till level 100. Because I'm also doing this for fun. I just want to have a dude that just doesn't use legendaries for fun. A dude that doesn't use legendaries, plays on his own, totally solo, just for a little bit of a challenge, and to just see how it compare the experiences. That's what I do. So once again, as you see, I'm just looting everything. I'm really overweight. Doesn't matter. I never learned the minigun plan. I forgot that. I got a survival tin outside. Oh, that was another tip I wanted to tell you. So I told you before about train stations. Some of them have enemies near them where you can actually farm the enemies constantly near them and have a stash box always and workbench always to go back to. But another tip I would tell you that I used before they introduced Fallout First is, I'm not gonna have enough. I'm gonna use this. take the minigun, though. I want to use the minigun. Reagan, shut up. Oh, you know what? I think that's enough for today. Oh, the last point I was trying to tell you is pay attention when you're looting places if you don't have the membership. If you notice there's workbenches, like weapons workbenches, armor, whatever, power armor station, that's in the vicinity of where you're looting, then use that to scrap all your weapons and junk. And so just loot everything still. Just loot everything. Because you know you're going to have that. But you still want to be increasing strength, reducing carry weight, or getting carry weight reduction perks, because you still might be overweight if you loot too much. So you just want to always have a lot of carry weight in the beginning. And when you hit level 50, you can change your special points to whatever you want at that point. So that's why, again, you don't need to worry too much about your build right now.